You talked about it a little bit last week when we were doing the Stone Cold episode, but as far as Taker and him being a striker and how his punches looked so real, yet he'd barely touch you. It was like
Yeah.
so impressive to you. How was he to work with otherwise? Besides, was he easy to work with as a big man, just smooth, or what was
He
it like
was
working with him?
smooth. He was athletic. I mean, here's a guy that could dive headfirst out of a ring and land on you and not get hurt. I mean, he's almost 7 foot tall, 320 pounds. The guy was amazing as an athlete in the ring, and his work was every bit as good. I mean, he is probably the greatest in-ring worker when it comes to psychology and putting everything together and everything making sense in the match. His story that he tells every match, it's always the same, but it works every time. He works your arm. He works your arm. He works your arm. He goes up the top rope, hits you with the thing, the Statue of Liberty.
Old school. Yeah.
Yeah, old school. And then you cut him off. And then you get heat on him. And then he ends up doubling down. He makes the comeback. And everything's based around when you're working him as a heel, you're working on his leg. He always wants you to work on his leg. And it works extremely well. And then when he makes his comeback, he does this incredible comeback. And then he ends up hitting you with the choke slam or the last ride. And the match makes incredibly good sense, and it always works. Every match he has, the fans are totally into it because of the psychology of the match.
And not only that, it's just a guy that's his size and what he can do, as you said. I don't think there's anybody in the business that's been his size that can move and wrestle and all of it together.
The only person I would say is Brock Lesnar, and Brock's not nearly as tall as Undertaker.
Right. Yes.
Brock's probably 7 or 8 inches shorter. Yeah.
Well, listen, we Fully Loaded. He defeats you 7 minutes, 34 seconds with the choke slam in the last ride. There's a lot of talk, by the way, Kurt, at the time about you being the rising star. Undertaker here's the veteran, and people were saying that you should have gone over. Do you think you should have gotten the win here?
At that particular time, no. What I needed was the rub. I had an undefeated streak. I told you about that before. The Rock ended that. Then I started being teamed up or facing against these main event guys.
Yeah.
Undertaker was the first one that I got. The Rock was, but Undertaker was the first pay-per-view main eventer I got. And being up there with him, the fans collectively think, okay, he's been wrestling these main eventers. He must be a main eventer himself. So by me being in the match with Undertaker, it makes the fans think, okay, this guy's getting pushed hard because he's wrestling one of the top guys in the company. And I continue to have these matches. I didn't win a match for like 6 months straight. After I won King of the Ring, every pay-per-view I lost until I eventually won the title from The Rock. So Undertaker was the beginning of that push that I had, where I was losing in the matches, but I was wrestling main eventers.
So you lose, you go backstage. Do you remember at all the reaction, Vince, Taker himself?
Vince was really happy. He wasn't that happy that the match was as short as it was, but Undertaker felt that that was enough time. 7.5 minutes was perfect, and I agree with him. I think that we had the right time, and I just had to be in that match against the Undertaker so the fans could visualize me being in there with the main eventer.
How about you? You come out of it thinking, man, I can't wait to work with this guy again.
Oh, yeah, man. And you know what? I knew that I wasn't even that good when I wrestled him the first time. I knew I would get better because I was learning every single week. They threw me into the fire. I mean, I only had 7 months of training, and I was thrown into the fire at Survivor Series, which was ridiculous. And I just had to learn on the fly. And that's what I was doing every single week, and I was getting better and better. By the time I wrestled Undertaker, I was getting that much better, but I knew I could get even more better than that. So eventually, when I wrestled him the next time, I was at the top of my game, and it was when I was world champion.